Well, hello. My name is Cooper Downey. This is gonna go on a YouTube I have, pretty sure. So I don't know, I'm recording in the worst way possible on Zoom, but kind of just wanted to get a recording out. I thought of an idea while on one of my runs that I kind of wanted to just spitball different ideas about mental health or and all that. So right now it's June 4th. It is men's uh, mental health month, which kind of is very important to me, and I think it should be to others. I think I grew up as a athlete who played a lot of sports, who kind of just went with everything, didn't have issues, and then kind of noticed bad habits or things that would happen that weren't the best for my mental health. I think in high school, I started noticing it. Different factors of always being told from a young age, having to be tough, having to always be never cry, never talk about your feelings, all that stuff. And I think as an athlete, it kind of just got pushed aside. Didn't see any emotions from other teammates, so pushed aside until it kind of hit me where I didn't know what to do. I hadn't really been in a position like that or knew what to do at points. So, kind of talking about that and thinking about that in life, that to not kind of push that away. And even as younger athletes or athletes that are have been in sports for a bit, focus on your mental health. It's the biggest thing I can kind of say. I didn't. I didn't know how to. And when I got to the point of when I was dealing with mental health struggles, I didn't know what to do until kind of having to figure it out on my own or at points, or finally just ask for help. And that takes a lot. And sometimes people deal with it in different ways. I get very quiet or I get very angry when I'm in struggling and I don't know how to kind of talk about it at points, but I've kind of learned that people deal with it in different ways. So I don't get frustrated or upset with people when they either talk or if it's something that I don't know about, but I've always kind of just nod my head and have been a listening ear. So I know different people deal with it in different ways or kind of might be struggling in different ways. So it's definitely one of those things that I've learned to be open about and to also be more open with teammates too. Like I tend to get quiet. I might get really pissed at points on the side and they might see that. And then I sometimes have to reel myself back in and kind of say, all right, let's talk to someone about this. All this anger, getting mad, it's not going to help. So let's talk to someone. If it's been a teammate, parent, any friends, I've always been trying to do that and or try to do better with that because I know I can get into a funk and I know it's important to not just push it aside because when you do push it aside and when I have pushed it aside, hits you harder and harder and harder and it finally gets to you until at points you might snap. There's been points at my jobs I've completely snapped. It was bad, long day, might have not been getting sleep, might have been dealing with stuff on the side, and I've snapped at people and working retail or working at a front desk. It's not the best to do when those jobs I have, and it's been tough, but I've learned now how to try to let it out a little earlier or just try to talk about it and get that weight off my chest. Some sometimes it's just a hard topic to talk about, especially with male athletes. It's harder to talk about because you could be playing division one or division three. You might be seen as, all right, well, I'm a really tough guy. I'm on the football team. I'm like really good at my sport. So why do I have to talk about it with people? Or you could be the D3 cross country runner like I am and kind of sit here and be like, well, I ran 15:58. I was doing really well during my season. I was fast and I feel like I'm on top of the world. And I was at that point really struggling with mental health. Felt like I was on top of the world. Everyone, all right, kind of saw it that way of, all right, well, I'm really good this season. I'm kind of coming out as a really good runner, but I didn't feel that way. I was going through the motions outside of that. I wasn't happy. Like, yeah, I would celebrate and all that, but like at the end of the day, I wasn't like completely happy. And I think that's tough sometimes. You don't know who could be going through something. They could seem like they are on top of the world with their sport and everything. And on the side, you may not know what's going on, or they can be going through something completely different. And I've done a project on it, on kind of with athletes too, specifically breaking that stigma of not thinking, all right, I'm a tough, tough athlete. I'm good at my sport. I made it to the college level. But sometimes you may need to talk to someone about that. And when looking at it, a lot of athletes weren't doing that. They didn't know where to go for help, or they just didn't feel comfortable. And of course, it's a completely difficult and tough topic to talk about. 100% is. But I think it is such an important topic to talk about eventually, or if it really gets to some stressful, tough points. Like, other people may not be able to see it and they might not know to ask or how to help out. And I think sometimes that comes to the athlete's part of, all right, now I need to execute on what I need to do because I'm not feeling great. So that's been one of those things where I struggle with until I got help from a friend who in my family, where had to ask them, hey, I'm struggling right now. What should be my next steps? Even though it took a lot and I didn't really want to talk about it, I ended up getting it out and talking about it. So that first initial step can be tough on not wanting to get help. And I think that is definitely a big point to do and should be your first step on getting the courage, because that is probably the hardest part, I will say. From experience, it's definitely been the hardest part on talking to someone about it. Once you get that, it's going to be a whole lot easier. I would say it most times that is the hardest part, to say, all right, I need help. Because you don't want to get your guard down. You don't want to let up or have people know about that. You kind of want to like try to stay tough, but sometimes letting your guard down like that and getting the help you need is very important. And I have found that help with going to a counselor at my school. And yeah, I was nervous. I didn't want to go into it with the best mindset. I kind of said to myself, oh, I'm going to go in pissed and I might say, oh, I'm going to go in, it might not work, but I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to get mad and then I'm going to just leave. Well, I got to sit down and I went in, they asked me about me, asked me what I was there, and kind of I was able to ease up. It was a great environment. And at that point, I just kind of felt great and a little better about myself, even though it didn't just wasn't the solving it and it didn't just solve it right then and there. It's not going to be that way with I go in, I talk, and then all my problems go away. I went back every week and it definitely did help. And I kind of got into a groove of then after, once I was able to kind of better myself a little that neck through that summer and then through going back, I went back times that I felt like it was needed. I was doing better, but those times when I felt I needed a little someone to talk to or some help, I always felt comfortable going back and having that talk with my counselor. And even when I may have not been able to get to my counselor in some time, I decided that I could use my teammates and friends about it and kind of get what was on my mind out, because there was a couple of times where maybe it was hard to get out of bed or I was in bed all days. And what I decided to do was eventually just, even though I wanted to stay alone all day, I ended up talking to my teammates. I talked to new teammates about what was up with me, what was going on. So I think it's definitely important to use those resources that you have. Most of the time, people don't feel comfortable talking about it. And sometimes it's okay to talk to your coach about it too. I would say, as an athlete, it's hard. They're higher figures, they're your coach, but I think it's sometimes it might be important to have that talk with your coach if it's really affecting maybe your sport, maybe just everything in general, and having that talk to kind of give them that, all right, I'm not feeling great. And I have done that even over the summer. I had uh, the assistant coach texted me after I got out of work about some summer training and starting the next phase of running. And I flat out told her, I was like, hey, I kind of want to talk about that. I haven't been doing mentally well. I'm not kind of doing the best, but I kind of want to, like, I don't know what my next plans are for running, but I just wanted to let you know. And I got out late. I got out at 10 o'clock, and by 10:30 I was got home and I was on the phone with my assistant coach, and she was able to talk to me about what was going on. And I did take a little break from running, and eventually I got back to it and was ready for the season. But I think just it took a lot to talk to my coach, and I think that was a lot, but I was able to do it. Sometimes that may be important. You might need to talk to a higher figure like that about stuff that might be going on. And I think there shouldn't be any shame. I wouldn't say or any shame in it. Like, I think the coaches should be open about that and care about the mental health of their athletes a lot more than sometimes the physical. Like, yeah, it's important to be physically healthy, physically fit, but sometimes that mental side isn't talked about enough. But it's definitely important to talk about. I know this has definitely been a ramble about different things, but I think I'm going to do more of these, and I plan on doing more. But I think just start of men's mental health month, and sometimes you just, hopefully this reaches someone, and hopefully I can come out with more topics about kind of what to talk about, what goes on, any feedback, anything from the comments, what they would like to hear. But I think this is a good start, and I hope everyone is doing well. And if you need the help, definitely reach out to people. Definitely use resources. People are out there to help out. Your friend shouldn't, you shouldn't feel shame talking to your friends. You shouldn't, teammates, coaches, anyone. I think that should be something that you should be very open about. And something like this needs a little more light shed on it. But thank you for anyone that kind of stumbles in on and sees this. And I really hope everyone has a great day, and might see you in the next video. Bye.